The tea you made at the start of the call has gone cold on the counter. You've been on the phone an hour, maybe more. You stopped tracking somewhere around the part where they started repeating themselves. And they needed it. That's the thing. Real trouble, the kind you can't fix with advice. So you listened. You said the right things. You didn't check the clock even once. Then it winds down, and they say it, warm and genuine. Thanks, I really needed that. I feel so much better. And they're gone. And you're standing in your own kitchen holding a phone that's warm against your ear for no reason. 60 minutes. And somewhere in there, not once did anyone ask how you were doing. Not as an accusation. Just as a fact. It didn't come up. And you notice it. You've noticed it 100 times, in 100 kitchens, and never once said it out loud to anybody. For a long time, I thought that was simply the deal you'd signed. It isn't. And here is the thing worth saying. That friend is not the villain of this story. That call was just the latest installment. The job was handed to you a long time ago, and somewhere along the line, you signed for it. Because something in your house went sideways once. Money got tight, or somebody got sick, or two people stopped speaking in a way you could hear through the floor, and you were the one who did not add to it. And it worked. That is the part nobody mentions. You got called mature. Such a big help. So easy, that one. Praise tastes good at 12. And you learned exactly which behavior bought it. So you took the part with you, out of that house into the first apartment, the first real job, the friendships, the marriage. Every room you walked into, you quietly auditioned for the same role, and you always got it. Here is the part that helped me. Being reliable is a job you accepted, not a spine you were born with, which means it has a shape, and you can feel yourself reaching for it if you pay attention. That kid made a reasonable trade with the information he had. Being needed beat being fragile every single time. You can thank him for getting everybody through. You are still allowed to renegotiate the terms. And the strange thing about handling it well is that nobody ever comes back to check. You did it, so you must be fine with it. The job description quietly expands, and nobody sends you a memo. Think about how it actually works. The person who drops the ball gets covered for. The person who catches it gets handed another one. Competence is the only skill in the world that gets punished with more work. There is a small comedy in it if you squint. You get good at something, and your reward is more of it. Nobody ever asks the one who never drops anything whether their arms are tired. So it compounds. The hospital calls you. The least question comes to you. The sibling who cannot talk to the other sibling talks to you. And here is the part worth noticing early. Nobody chose you on purpose. They just followed the path of least resistance, and the path was you. Once you see that, something loosens a little. The load was not a verdict on your worth. It was a habit everyone fell into, including you. And habits can be renegotiated without anybody being the villain. But by then, the word reliable has stopped describing what you do. It describes what you are, and a person can spend 30 years being an adjective before they notice nobody ever asked if they wanted the job. And nobody had to fight very hard to stop asking. You made it easy. Somewhere in there you got extremely good at one small word, and you have been using it for about 30 years now. Fine. Busy, but fine. Can't complain. Hanging in there. You have a whole menu of them, and you can order off it without looking. In a parking lot, at a funeral, on 4 hours of sleep. And then there's the turn. Someone asks about you, and within about 6 seconds, you have the conversation pointed back at them. Their knee, their daughter's wedding, their boss. Smooth as anything. Honestly, it's a skill. But once in a while somebody asks and actually means it. sets the question down and waits. And there's this half second where the true answer is right there at the front of your mouth. You swallow it every time. Here is what took me a long time to see. That reflex isn't modesty, it's construction work. You have been building the silence around yourself for decades, one fine at a time, and you got very good at it. So you don't have to fix it today. Just catch it happening. The next time someone asks, count one beat before you answer, and notice how badly you want to fill that beat with them. That's the whole exercise. The trouble with getting good at fine is that your body never learned the word. It keeps its own books, and it does not round anything down. You know the 3A. M. Inventory. Awake without a reason. Going down the list. Your mother's next appointment. The transmission. Whether your kids sounded off on the phone Sunday. Nothing on that list is yours. Then there is the jaw. Maybe a dentist told you you have been grinding, offered you a plastic guard, and you laughed and said you must be a tense sleeper. You are not tense. You are on call. And the calendar tells on you too. That shoulder thing you have had for 2 years. The scan you rescheduled twice because someone else needed the day. You are the world's best patient advocate for everybody but you. Here is the small mercy in it though. A bill you can finally see is a bill you can pay down. So I started treating my own appointments like someone else's. Non-negotiable. The way I would never cancel my father's. Same with the week off. You have spent whole vacations driving, booking, refereeing, hauling the cooler. So try 1 hour of it that belongs to nobody. Sit on the shoreline alone. Nobody dies. That is the whole experiment. And the strangest part of that unpaid tax is where it finally shows up. Not in your back, not in your jaw, in the small, hot flash of irritation when a familiar name lights up your phone. You love this person. You do. And still, some ungenerous part of you thinks, does anybody ever call me just to see how I'm doing? Then you feel ashamed of the thought, and you answer anyway. Here's the thing nobody tells you about resentment. It's usually a ledger. Years of quiet entries, columns nobody else can see, a running total in a game the other players never knew they'd entered. You can carry that ledger a long time, but sit with it honestly and something uncomfortable surfaces. They never agreed to those terms. They were never handed the rules, and they can't read a page you've never shown them. Because for 30 years, every time somebody asked, you said you were fine. Don't worry about it. I've got it handled. And they believed you. Honestly, you were very good at your job. So the anger has an address. And it isn't them. It belongs to the silence. To the 30 years of fine. That's a harder thing to be angry at, because you can't hang up on it. What changed for me was smaller than forgiveness. I stopped treating that flare as proof people were selfish, and started reading it as a gauge. When it spikes, something in me has gone unasked for too long. A gauge isn't a verdict, it's information, and information you can actually do something with, which is more than you can say for a grudge you've been quietly watering since your 30s. Which means the repair isn't some conversation you have to win. It's smaller than that. Almost embarrassingly small. Small enough that when you finally hear it, part of you will feel cheated. Because here's what you've been imagining it takes. The whole story. 30 years of it laid out in order with feeling. Somebody's kitchen table, 2 hours, tissues. A scene. No wonder you never start. You've priced honesty like a full production, and you don't have the budget. Not this week. Not with everything else on your plate. But that isn't what I'm talking about. What worked was one sentence, one true sentence, said out loud to one person, one time. That's the whole thing. It sounds like this: I'm running on empty lately, or this year has been harder than I've let on, or just, honestly, I'm tired. Not busy tired. The other kind. 12 words. Maybe 15. And you would rather help somebody haul a sleeper sofa up 3 flights of stairs in July than say them. I know. I understand completely. The hard part isn't the sentence. It's the 2 seconds after it. That's when your whole system comes online screaming, telling you to soften it, laugh, wave it off, hand the conversation back. So here is the only instruction I'd offer. Don't rescue it. Say the sentence, then let it sit there, unfinished, with no bow on top. You don't have to fix it for them. So you say it out loud to one person, standing in a grocery aisle with a carton of milk in your cart, and then you watch what happens next, which is the part nobody prepares you for. Some people hand it right back to you. A quick joke, a pivot to the weather, to their knee, to the traffic. You feel them step back half an inch, and you feel yourself apologize for the mess. But that flinch is not a verdict on you. It is information. It tells you that person is built for the easy weather, and that is worth knowing before the hard weather shows up. And then somebody surprises you, usually not the one you would have bet on. A neighbor you barely know knocks the next evening. A cousin calls at 9 at night and just asks a second question. So you start finding out where your real load-bearing walls are. Some of the ones you counted on turn out to be decorative. That stings for a week. Then it just becomes a floor plan you can actually use. Which means you stop spending your one true sentence on people who cannot hold it. You give it to the 3 who stepped towards you. 3 is not a small number. 3 is more than most people have. And when someone does step toward you, something strange happens. You flinch. You find out you are terrible at this. 30 years of practice giving, and not 1 hour of practice receiving. Somebody shows up with a casserole dish, and you hear yourself saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have," which is funny because they should have. You just don't have the equipment to let them. A friend offers to drive you to the appointment, and you say, "No, it's easier if I take myself." Easier for who? You have said that sentence so many times, it has worn a groove in you. And notice the apology. "Sorry to bother you. Sorry, this is probably a bad time. Sorry, I know you're busy." As if needing something from another human being were a small act of trespassing. Here is what actually helped. When someone does something for you, say thank you, and then stop talking. No repayment plan. No, I'll get you next time. Just let the debt sit there unbalanced. It feels wrong the first few times, like leaving a door unlocked. But people who help you rarely want it paid back. Mostly they just want to be let close enough to matter. Practicing on a neighbor is one thing. The harder room is the one where somebody has watched you be capable for 30 years and quietly stopped asking because you gave them every reason to. They used to ask. Early on, they asked all the time. And every time, you said fine or busy or just tired, and they believed you because you're a person who tells the truth about everything else. There's something almost funny in it, if you tilt your head. 2 people who can finish each other's sentences and order each other's coffee, both carrying something heavy, both saying nothing. Their fine may be a lie too. So the night comes when the dishes are done, and they ask out of habit, barely looking up. And instead of fine, you say the true thing. "I'm tired in a way sleeping isn't fixing." And then you don't rescue it. No joke, no it's nothing, no immediate pivot to what's wrong with them. You let it stand there on the table between the salt and the mail, unresolved. Some of them won't know what to do with it. That's not a verdict, that's rust. You handed them information, not a problem to fix, and information takes a minute to land. But the second time is easier, and somewhere in there, something shifts that you didn't expect. For the first time in years, the person across the table isn't looking at a pillar. They're looking at you. And the person across that table isn't the only one who has been studying you all these years. There were smaller people in the house, watching everything, taking notes on what a grown-up is supposed to be. You never handed them a syllabus. You didn't have to. What they saw was a parent who handled it. Every flat tire, every hospital call, every year money got thin. They never once saw you ask anybody for help, so they filed that away as the price of admission to adulthood. Then one evening your grown kid calls, and you ask how they're doing, and they say fine in a voice you recognize instantly. Flat. Rehearsed. Cheerful in the wrong places. Your own reflex coming back at you through the phone. So here is the thing I'd try, and it is smaller than it sounds. Let them see you tired. Not a breakdown, not a speech, just, honestly, this has been a rough stretch and I'm worn out, and then no reassurance tacked on the end. They'll be awkward about it. Kids are, when a parent goes off script. But watch what happens next. They lean in a little, and when they offer to drive or carry the boxes or just stay on the line, you let them, without paying it back that week. Because someday they'll be sitting in their own kitchen at some unreasonable hour, worn down to the studs, and what they do next depends on whether they ever saw a tired parent say so out loud and survive it. That's the inheritance. Quieter than money, and it lasts longer. Whatever your kids are learning from watching you learned it somewhere too. Probably from someone whose voice you can still hear, saying they were fine when they clearly were not. You've seen it. A parent who won't let you carry the grocery bags in, who mentions the fall 3 weeks after the fall, once the bruise has already gone yellow. For years you filed that under stubborn. It isn't stubborn. It's the same job you have, 30 years further along, and the road is starting to run out underneath it. And then some small mercy sneaks in. They let you change the smoke alarm battery. They stand at the bottom of the ladder and supervise, which is its own kind of surrender. So here's what I'd try instead of arguing about the ladder. Not a lecture about accepting help. One honest sentence about yourself. I'm tired, and I worry about you. Then nothing. Because they know how to be leaned on. That they never forgot. Give them the chance and something in the room loosens. Then look ahead and decide, honestly, whether you want their ending. Refusing a hand in a hospital corridor at 82. And once you have watched where that road ends in somebody you love, you start asking a different question. Not how much more can I carry? Which of this is actually mine? Here is what I finally understand. Strength was never the size of the load. It is the choosing. A weight you picked up on purpose sits completely differently than one somebody handed you in a doorway. And some of it you will keep. Gladly. The parent who is fading, the kid having the hard year, the friend in the bad stretch. Those are yours. You would not hand them to anyone. But some of it was never yours. The group message nobody else answers. The crisis that finds you first, because you always pick up. You are allowed to let that one ring. A pillar cannot sit down, cannot have a bad week, cannot want the smaller half. And nothing collapses when you stop holding up the ceiling. It never rested on you. It only looked that way from underneath. So the phone rings, the hour goes the way it always goes, and she says, "Thanks, I feel better." And this time, before she hangs up, "Wait, can I tell you about my week?" Not a pillar, just just a person saying something true. If any of this hit home, I would like to hear it. Tell me in the comments what you have been carrying or what you finally set down. And if you want to keep thinking this through together, subscribe and come along.